Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's just us tonight, sitting down. I don't have any things plugged into my ears. I'm drinking from my can concealment, like shameless plug, can concealment / CHS Guns established 1974 mug, because I can. And goeienaand to Kermit, to Bradley, to Ari, who's on the other side of the screen for a change, but she will be back with Floyd and Hofu and Temba next week, Thursday, and me being, there with my ugly mug. Spice Golden Cola, that's actually one hell of a combination. But I already had, I had red wine tonight, and I think mixing rum and wine for the weekend I have ahead of me might be a very bad idea, because it's a working weekend, which sucks. And please tell me how to pronounce your screen name, because my Greek is really not good at the moment. But how's everybody doing on this Friday evening, where I'm supposed to talk to you about training and shooting and all that stuff, but that's really just an excuse to get to sit down with my audience for an hour for a change, which is something I haven't done in a very, 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 very long time. But yeah, it's good to be back with just sort of these types of discussions. And I think, so everyone, I've been advertising like a complete capitalist about the night shoot course we have next Saturday night, 16 October, False Bay Sports Shooting Club in Cape Town. And then, of course, next month, middle of November, we've got a course in Durban. I got a course in Durban. If you've got questions about that, shoot. If you've got questions of anything, shoot. Good evening, Shaq Dweller. Great to see you here. And I can answer whatever you want to. Well, I could kind of talk about whatever you want me to talk about. And alternatively, we can just shoot the breeze for an hour, because it's Friday night. We haven't had a whiskey Friday in forever, but I might have some whiskey later. Depends. Not really. My schedule, full training weekend. Tomorrow, full day. Sunday, full day. So I should probably get to bed not too late. When are we going to do about 3D printing stuff? When am I legally limited to? So that's an interesting discussion, right? In the South African context, frames are licensed parts, barrels are licensed parts, slides are control parts, so they don't need to be licensed, but you need to have a license for that particular slide. Actions are control parts, so you need to have a license for a gun capable of taking that sort of bolt. So with 3D printing in South Africa, you actually can't legally 3D print much. You can't 3D print a frame for an actual real firearm. Goeiedag, Deon. Lekker om jou te sien. And Deon was on the course in Joburg a couple of weekends ago, middle of September, and I think he liked it. I hope he enjoyed it. Ek hoop dit was vir jou lekker kursus, meneer. I think most of the guys did. So 3D printing in SA, it's a bit of stuff, but here's my question as well. So with the 3,000 Rand 3D printer, if you have access to the internet, you could pretty much download the CAD files for something like the FGC9 version 2, which is a semi-automatic 9mm carbine. And you could 3D print and pretty much machine all those components in your garage and have it. And it's unlicensed, it's obviously illegal, but who would stop it? And those things, you can 3D print magazines. I mean, there's nothing preventing you from doing that. You can 3D print a lot of things that aren't controlled parts, aren't licensed parts. And so otherwise you need to be a manufacturer with a manufacturer's license. So 3D printing in South Africa of guns is pretty much like right out there. You can't do it. You can't legally do anything. It's not like America. And it's mostly like Europe, where you can't legally do it either. The thing is, it's not stopping the Europeans from doing it. There's a huge underground sort of subculture of people 3D printing guns in Europe, and there's nothing the European authorities can do about it, because they cannot block that information. They can do whatever they want. They can bring out any legislation to block access to that information. The dark web and the deep web exists. Easy ways to access those realms exist. You can't stop that signal. It's been like that was from Firefly. You cannot stop the signal. It's impossible to. I mean, there's so many CAD files out there. There are so many instructions and how to create a rifle barrel in your garage with 3D printing technology to assist you in doing it. It is ridiculous what's out there. And it's funny to me that we live in this era of forbidden knowledge where stuff like that's like taboo. Oh, you can't discuss, like, why? It's out there. People are doing it. They're doing it the world over. I mean, I'm not doing it. I don't have a 3D printer, but it's fascinating to me to think that people can clutch their pearls about gun control and how gun control is still relevant and how we can still exercise control over so-called regulated parts like pressure-bearing parts like gun barrels and this sort of stuff and actions. When any idiot with a rudimentary crash course that he can put himself through in electrochemical machining with access to a bucket of salt water and a little bit of electricity and an aquarium pump can pretty much create a rifle barrel that'll shoot more accurate groups at 50 meters than a Glock will. And I mean, come on, it's this entire discussion about regulating guns is a stupid wet dream that governments have, but that has no real grounding in reality anymore. So Down's review, the training was fun, maybe safe. Yeah, and this is actually the trick. Like, people will print. They will print whatever they want to print, and no one will know, and no one will know about it. That's the reality. And unfortunately, good evening, John. I don't know if I actually said good evening. That's reality about 3D printing in SA. Well, not in SA. It's a reality about 3D printing pretty much everywhere. So, yeah. There's that. That's a fun topic, though. Anyone who would like to give some more insight about it or ideas? I mean, if you want to follow what the trends are in America, Control plus Pew, like Control, CTR plus Pew, PEW. They're a cool Twitter account to follow. And I think they've got a website. I might have to Google this. Let me not talk absolute nonsense to you. Control plus Pew. Yeah, Pew. Take you to Pew Research Center, which is a think tank, a really cool think tank. I like the stuff that comes out of Pew. Maybe don't put a space in between the Control. Is it CTL plus Pew then? Not CTR plus Pew. Let me just check that. CTL plus Pew. There we go. CTL plus Pew. It's controlpew.com. And you can just whatever. I'm an anarchist anyway. There you go. Control Pew. Well, this is the reality, right? And people have been doing this for far longer than we've been doing 3D printing with 3D printers. So there's that. Punji spikes are a thing. People refuse to be disarmed. Yep. Graham, good to see you on the stream, sir. When are you coming to do your competency training? 2 gun shops sell spare slides every 2 gunners for say Glock. We do. They control parts. I need to just double check on what the reality is between the ones that come with serial numbers on them and the ones that don't, because I have a spare slide for my HK USP that I did buy from a gun shop, but it doesn't have a serial number on it. So although I don't think whether or not it has a serial number is relevant, because slides are not licensed parts, and the serial number on the slide is actually meaningless. The serial number has to be on the frame of the gun, and it has to be on the barrel. And those are the only 2 serial numbers that actually matter, is frame and barrel. Or if you're talking about a rifle receiver, some rifles don't even have serial numbers on barrels, although strictly speaking, they should have them. But I mean, you know. We sit in, and this is the thing that always with these discussions remains amazing to me. We sit in the country, it's the 6th highest homicide rate in the world. When you start correcting for countries with populations with 10 million people or more, we sit with the 2nd highest homicide rate in the world. And we are obsessing about serial numbers on guns, you know, on receivers and frames and who are allowed to own them and reloading kits and all sorts of nonsense. And I'm just looking at this and going, it's insanity to even discuss it. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense to regulate these parts. I mean, what point is there? Kermit, you're going to have to just jog my memory here. What about the It's actually the FGC9, because it stands for fuck gun control in 9mm, which is quite what do you call it? It's creative. It's creative. Yeah, Graham, don't talk to me about saving up for things. I just realized yesterday that I need to replace very soon 4 tires on a Subaru Outback. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad. And I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for it. I had a little cry about it, but I could probably stretch it for another 5,000 kilometers, maybe 10 at most, but it's getting iffy. Oh, snap, the fire control groups. So fire control groups are control parts, not license parts. So, and even there it gets iffy in the sense that, triggers alone aren't control parts. I need to actually go dive into the act before I give you bad info. It's a pity Jason isn't here. Cockroach 999 or quadruple 9 or whatever his screen name or his handle is, because Jason, Professor Cod, is like the walking FCA Bible. He knows the thing, knows it better than most lawyers do, and he'd be able to give a bit of deeper insight into that. But as far as I'm aware, it's just a control part, not a license part. They could get an electronic vaccine pass in a few weeks. Look at sort of a farm registry. You know what? To be honest, I'm waiting for this electronic vaccine pass thing to blow up horribly like every other project we have, because there's not a single thing the state has done with regards to electronic databases that hasn't been a complete disaster. I mean, let's look at the DNA database. Let's look at the management of forensic evidence, right? So if you follow Action SA, Action Society. Action SA is the political party. Action Society is the NGO. If you follow Action Society, they have quite a few campaigns running. I mean, I think they're the only group of people that might dislike Bheki Cele more intensely than I dislike him. And they're keeping quite strong tabs on the backlog pertaining to forensic evidence. And last time I checked, there was something like 8 million pieces of DNA evidence in backlog that was affecting something stupid like 240,000 criminal cases, because on average is about 12 pieces of DNA evidence per forensic case or something stupid. So it's nuts. And what happened there now is you got this 5 or 8 million DNA evidence piece backlog, which is a direct result of the government failing to pay the service provider, which was private sector, by the way, to administer this forensic evidence collation system that they were using. They just stopped paying the guy at the drop of a hat. Who's that Irish hobbit who runs around in the media that keeps giving people hassles? Paul O'Sullivan. So Paul O'Sullivan had an axe to grind with the service provider for some reason, so some brouhaha there. But either way, the system was working. Then the government stopped paying the guy. He switched it off. CETA then said, which is the state IT guys, oh no, they're going to build their own one. That was last year, July. The system still isn't functioning. It's still a fuck up. They have to take screenshots on the state's one, print the screenshot out, and then take that to court as evidence, because they can't print directly from the system. At least this is what I've been told. So the government can't even get their own criminal justice system working in a halfway competent way. There is no way these imbeciles, unless they have huge private sector help. And here I'm looking at Adrian Gore from Discovery, because he'll be the first idiot to stick up his hand and go, oh, don't worry, I'll come help you sort out your system so we can oppress people. Unless Adrian Gore from Discovery goes, oh, don't worry, we'll build your vaccine passport for you and administer it for you, which they probably will. I mean, Discovery is so pro NHI, they're so pro tyranny, so pro oppression. I'm so glad I've got nothing with them. No medical aid, no insurance, not a single thing. I mean, what an evil bloody corporation. But anyway, this is me ranting. Sorry, let me get back to what you guys are saying. Big issues in rubber from overseas. I just say, well, here's the problem, bro. I can't find the tires I want for my Outback. No one has them in stock. So I either have to go, it's a Bridgestone tire, 225/60 by 18 inch. They don't have that in stock. They've got the cheaper ones, which, I mean, I guess if I can't get the more expensive one and I have to buy the cheaper one for nearly half the price, then I'm not going to cry my eyes out. But I'm not interested in putting Pirellis or Goodyears or stuff for 15,000, 16,000 K for 4 tires on my car at this stage. Primarily because it's a Japanese car, and I believe for continuity, it Japanese tires on it. So I don't know why I can't get the Bridgestones, but I mean, even my dad was struggling to get the tires he wanted, which weren't Bridgestones, for his Land Rover Defender, the old school Defender, the real one, not this new hairdresser car that they brought out, which is my favorite part of the new James Bond. No, it was Range Rovers over. Never mind. Disregard that. Can't find the tires I want. I don't know what the hell is going on in this country. I guess that's a nice, polite way of putting it, Kermit. Says we're live on Tuesday. Most people receive false. Oh, joy. That sounds about par for the course, doesn't it? I'm grateful for every day for our users, our government. That makes at least 2 of us, and maybe another 28 people in this, 29 people in the stream, excluding you and me, that feels the same. Because the stream, by the way, I've been shadow banned on Facebook. Like, I can't stream on Facebook anymore. They're not suggesting my posts. My likes are down. I'm being desubscribed. The only platform that really tolerates me still is YouTube and is Twitter. So there's that. I've got that going for me. But yeah, I don't know how that came into the discussion, but that's why I used to be up at like 140 people watching while I'm streaming, unless I've gotten that boring, which is also possible. I mean, it could just be that you don't want to watch me stream, which I totally understand. I wouldn't watch me stream, but I have been, my Facebook page for Piratas has basically been deep six without being, they haven't cancelled it yet, but they probably will at some point. After a false start, then it went live this morning in phases. Apparently, we'll be going through updates in the next 2 months. Oh, joy. Let's see how far they get with that. Nant, ek sit Stella Handkoeks op die lyn, die sit en Stella Coopers op. Sit Stella Handkoeks op die lyn en sit Stella Coopers op. Well, okay, Stefan, ek sal dit 'n bash gee. Like, I quite love having these discussions. My audience is giving me tire advice for my Subaru. That is excellent. Like, I love coming here. Say something pro-vaccine. Okay, so the vaccine is legit. It's not gene therapy. Let's see if they flag that. They flag it on Twitter if you say it for some reason. What's it? The vaccine is totally safe. It's not gene therapy. Okay, remember that, kids. It's totally safe. Totally safe. Get your shots or something. Someone please take this out of context and turn it into a little short video and put it on Twitter and accuse me of being pro-vax. I think I need some more controversy in my life, just because. So Mark took down FB because of me. Really? Who? Okay. No, Mark who? Ari, you need to be specific. Good evening, Brian. Good to see you. Well, good evening to everyone who's just tuned in. And if you want to do me a favor, I want to try this thing that Sishle always does. If you like the content, please hit the like button. It's free, because then it apparently puts this stream, which is super relevant to everyone's life, to a broader Facebook audience, and I mean, not Facebook audience, YouTube audience. And then they'll tune in and maybe they'll discover guns and figure out they like guns. The tires are all looted in case it did. Ooh, that's an oof. But is it a lie? Is it untrue, Bradley? Maybe not. Maybe it's 100% spot on. I think it might be 100% spot on. But yeah, either way, look, even the cheap tires are going to, because it's an all-wheel drive, I have to do all four at the same time. It just hurts. It's like opening an umbrella and you know what, Marcus umbrella and a monster poopel up. It was very, very, very rough. Don't like it. Oh, he did that, Mark. Thank you. I'm being slow. I was so, you know what, when it went down, I was so excited. I was going, please let it be permanent, because they've been flagging me and dicking me around so much and shadow banning me. Now, I have such an axe to grind with that platform. And then they just deleted all the CIA leaked files that proved there were a bunch of pedophiles or something. I don't know, like whatever these people literally are everything. And then they put their stupid social platform back online. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should migrate to TikTok. Should I go to, actually, you guys educate me. Firstly, two questions. First question, should Piratas open a TikTok account? Don't really want to. It seems very much out of my normal realm. And two, who's on there and how does it even work? I mean, I'm not cool with the kids anymore. I'm that uncool guy in my middle 30s now that I can't keep up with everything the kids like anymore. Right said Fred too sexy for his PCR test. I know, right? Right said Fred's Twitter account is like the best thing out there. What an amazing bunch of guys. You really, really, really should follow Right Said Fred. Also follow Pitbull, because he's been dropping truth bombs. And locally, if you like South African artists who don't pull their punches, Adam Tas, Jay, that guy from Radio Raps. What is Radio Raps? I mean, it's the strange thing. And Arno Carsten's a legend. Apart from the fact that he was Springbok Nude Girls, which for you are younger than me, probably don't know who that is, but everyone else will know. And he's also a supporter of what we do, what I do. He's a cool guy. You can follow him. He just tries to stay apolitical because politics depress him, and he doesn't like talking about it because it's so depressing. Please correct me if I am butchering your name. Is it Sayida or is it Sajida? That's normal. Like being hesitant around the unfamiliar, especially unfamiliar things like firearms, is something as an instructor I see all the time. Like I get lots of people that have not been exposed to firearms earlier in their lives, and it's prevalent, especially like from my Kaalicha clients. They're businessmen, they're late 20s, mid 30s, even older, even early 40s. The first time they touch a gun is when they actually come for the qualification shoot, and I get to train them up a little bit beforehand and make them familiar with the controls. But the first time they shoot that gun is on the qualification shoot with their 30 rounds of practice. And everyone is different. Everyone reacts different to the noise. Everyone reacts different to the recoil. Everyone reacts different to handling the gun. It's pretty much the same, I think, as a lot of people who drive a car for the first time and getting in it as a learner driver. And now you're actually taking this thing and you're driving it in the parking lot, or you're driving it out into the open road. And it is an intimidating thing for a lot of people, and it's nothing to be ashamed about, and it's nothing to be concerned about. That's normal. It's a normal reaction. In fact, you'll probably be a fairly safe student that will listen and not do any stupid stuff. So, by the way, if anyone wants to get a hold of me because you'd like to get references to training, if you're not in Cape Town and I can't train you myself, pop me a message anyway, an email. I'm just going to put my email on the screen quickly. There you go. And I will do my level best to give you good info. I promise. Ditmar, good to see you here, Squire. How are you doing? Some YouTube weirdness. I can cast you to the TV and then chat on myself. That is like the life, isn't it? Like you've got wired, the Internet of Things. Have I considered joining the Odyssey platform? To be honest, I'm that much of a Luddite that I am not familiar with the Odyssey platform. But when we're done with the stream, I'll go check it out, because I definitely need to broaden my horizons with this stuff. That's what you get for drinking coffee mug and Ori. Low blow, Ori, low blow. But I get it. Stay away from TikTok. Downloaded once and it was the weirdest 3 hours of my life. No TikTok. TikTok is a cesspool. Okay, I think it's 3 comments in a row telling me to get the fuck away from TikTok. Oh, girl, we need TikTok there. Okay, all right. I think it's safe to say for all these comments that my brand will not. Okay, the TikTok idea was, I think, the fastest bad idea I've had that was totally destroyed and killed by my audience. So, okay, we will not be going to TikTok then. And secretly, thank you very, very much, because I wasn't really in the mood for it anyway. And I'm glad that I now have a reason to say, shitty idea, but won't go to TikTok. Okay, that's bafanga. I mean, like, how many 12-year-olds could I sell guns to anyway? Like, legally, none of them. So, not really, from a marketing point of view, not really worth it, hey? Well, the DA lost their balls. You know, if you make a statement in public and people call you out for it, which they will, because any statement that isn't absolute vanilla is going to upset somebody. At least stick to your guns, because apologizing or withdrawing, all that it does is make you look weak. That is all it does. All it does. All it does. I mean, even if it's a terrible decision, if you've really harmed somebody, apologize to them. But if it's people that are just taking offense, it's worse to apologize. That's the society, unfortunately, we live in at the moment. It's kind of sad. There we go. Gaming K9. TikTok is really toxic. And as far as I know, anything with guns and violence are basic perma under me. I suppose. I mean, it is a CCP social media platform, right? If I remember correctly. That does make sense. You got an everyday carry kit. Do you use or recommend gear? Okay, so I'll just tell you what I use. And I don't have any, well, I mean, I'm not going to take it off my hips at the moment, but what I have on my person is I have a handgun, which is either my HK USP or a Glock 19. Handguns recommendations come at, let me just say that again. Handgun recommendations come a dime a dozen. What works for me might not work for you. Yeah, that's why people carry CZs. That's why they carry Beretta. By the way, Beretta has new agents in SA, plenty spare parts. We've got a Beretta APX in stock at the moment, the APX Centurion, which is a striker-fired handgun about the same size as the Glock 19. Awesome trigger. We're getting a second one as well. They're retailing brand new, 2 magazines for 8,500 Rand. And what a sweet deal. I would buy one of those. So there are people that carry Berettas. Barry Bateman is a massive Beretta fan. And what a legend that guy is as well, by the way. CZs, people carry CZs, sporting guns as fighting guns. Taurus, which has done a lot to repair their reputation from the bad run they had in about 2010, 2012. There's so many options. So I'm not going to unpack too much with guns. Just make sure it's something that you are comfortable carrying. It's reliable. You can get spare parts for it, and it's something that you're willing to train with, because that's more important than the gun itself. As long as it's reliable, just train it. Holsters, I carry in the CKCS holster, which is made on site at CHS Guns. But there are a lot of really good holster makers in SA. We really do have a wide variety of guys that make really good holsters. I mean, there's Daniel's holsters, there's Quantum Carriers, there's a whole bunch. Belts, I still carry an old school Kellerman leather belt, but the core belts have been taken over by Storm, and I've always wanted to get a core belt because they really are that cool. They are amazing pieces of equipment. I cannot speak more highly of them, not as a hype kid, but literally, and as someone that doesn't own a core belt, it is on my list of kit to get eventually one day, is a core belt. I have a cat tourniquet that I have in my back pocket, the proper real cat, which is a combat application tourniquet. With that, stop the bleed knowledge, do a stop the bleed course, because if you know how to do wound packing, if you know how to do keep pressure on a wound, how to use a tourniquet, the pros and cons of all those things, the knowledge is more important than the equipment. But having a tourniquet on your person is not very big. And have a decent flashlight. I have a Streamlight that I got by Amazon, which is probably the coolest flashlight I own. But get something that you can afford ultimately, right? Rather have kit that you can afford but that you're going to use, rather than spending a huge amount of money on kit that you don't use and that don't work for you. An EDC thing is something that you kind of have to build for yourself, right? But your foundation of good EDC for your gun, belt, holster, firearm, those 3 things. Get a decent gun, a decent belt, and a decent holster. Then you can start adding spare magazines. Then you can start adding flashlights. Then you can start adding knives. And you can start adding tourniquets and even individual first aid kits and that sort of stuff. So you have to start somewhere, but don't be a magpie. Like lots of us are tactical magpies. We like shiny stuff that we have no intention of really using, but that looks cool, that we carry on us to make ourselves feel better. I mean, up until I got the Streamlight, I used to carry a 12-year-old Surefire 200 lumen torch because it was reliable and it didn't eat batteries. It had a decent battery life, and I was happy with it. And prior to that was a Maglite. So, you know, the brand names don't matter, but have something on you. Jose, any truth to early reports that the big pharma companies wanted governments to sign indemnity that the citizens would have no legal recourse? I've read about this. I've heard about this. I don't have. Okay, bear in mind, I haven't read or seen any evidence in this regard, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that my day is too busy for me to actually pursue this. But I've got people I will ask, and one of the people I would ask this question to is Jonathan Witt on Twitter. He's a good personal friend of mine. He's highly controversial. Lots of people can't stand him. Lots of people love him. He's a good mate, and the thing I appreciate most about him is he sticks to his guns like steadfast as all hell. So I'll ask Jono and see what he says. Fear of the unknown is totally normal, and firearms, I see it as respect for the weapon. Your interest is a first step in the right direction now, and build education from realization. Exactly, Ari, exactly what you've now said. That is utter truth. Patreon might be a platform you can look at, but that works on a subscription basis like Twitch. That's the one thing. I do have a very old Patreon account I started years ago. I might still share it at some point. I don't know. I don't know if it's still relevant, but we'll check. I let you shoot in the farm. Only the fear of the whim to respect the rifle and a bunch of naughty kids. Yeah, that's the way to grow up. Corona's boring. Do the alien thing. That's the way to do it. So media release earlier about the government QCTO wanting to terminate PFTC as a training accreditation. To say the news, if correct, is a monumental FU is an understatement. Well, the news is correct. They're certainly trying. They're being interdicted from it. What they're doing is so unlawful, it's not even funny. But what is interesting about it is, without being cynical, it's a great way to destroy gun ownership in SA, is to just make it impossible for people to get their training certificates and statements of results for their competencies. You can derail the entire private security industry with it. You can destroy private gun ownership. You can destroy everything. Because let's be brutally honest about this. They are trying to destroy private gun ownership. They do not care about the financial value hunters add to the economy. They do not care about the national security and private security benefits on civilians add to it. They do not care that you are a complete victim in this country without a gun and that you are so much easier to murder. They do not care about the fact that criminals get guns from the police, get guns from other sources, will not be disarmed by this legislation. They do not care about the fact that the private security industry is the only thing that's standing between us and complete law enforcement vacuums in its entirety. They do not care about any of these things. They are 100% committed to civilian disarmament. And this is just another attempt. The good part about this is it's a very desperate move. It's very desperate, and I, honest to God, don't see them succeeding at it. Not with the level of opposition we can bring to bear, but they're getting desperate. They're trying to take our guns, and they are failing. By the way, the Dear South Africa summary of that public participation campaign has been completed. It will be published soon, and I will do a stream like this to discuss it with you guys. If you're keen, let me know. I'm definitely going to share it with everybody and get it out there so you can read. Needless to say, the 151,000 individual submissions we received overwhelmingly rejected it, but we'll unpack that later. But the fact is, you're sitting with a paranoid government who doesn't want guns in civilian hands, who's terrified of it, regardless of the color of the civilian hands. Black people, Indian South Africans, colored people, white South Africans, Afrikaners, they don't care who has the guns. They don't want you to have it. And they will try everything to prevent you from owning guns, which is exactly why you should get your proficiency training out the way and get guns now, so that there's more of us to tell them to go fuck themselves, because that's ultimately what stops them from it, is public opposition. They're getting desperate. They're losing the gun control fight. We cannot afford to take our eye off the ball and give them a moment's breathing space. End of answer on the SAP's license application timing and backlog. My DFO said that 120 working days is the instructions received. Yeah, that's the problem, is they issue instructions that go contrary to their own timeframes and frameworks. There is advancement on that. We will be issuing a communication via DRSA on behalf of SADA shortly, as in early next week. So everyone stand by and be ready, because it's going to get hard. Check Odin's Men on the tube of views. You will quickly get off the TikTok bus. Okay, fair enough. Look, I was never on the TikTok bus, so there's that. Meneer van Rensburg, goeienaand. Good evening, Squire. How are you doing? No, not sold. We still have, well, technically both of them. We've got the one in stock right now, the Beretta APX. Second one arriving soon, so we have at least two of them. Beth Eleutheria, good evening. Oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in a long time. Beth, you really should come on the stream again. It's always fun talking to you. You still have my number. Let me know. I'd love to have you on for talk about individual liberty. You're lots of fun to speak to. I'm probably going to lose my TikTok account for using my husband's pellet gun in a video. Brothers will do well on. He will not do well on TikTok. Thank you. I appreciate. I love everyone telling me to stay far the fuck away from it. So I've got about. I need to actually check the armorer's manual, but I've got about 8,000 rounds through my. Well, I've got two Glock 19s and I've got 8,000 rounds through the one, and I replaced the recoil spring at about 6,500 rounds, and that's the only spring I've ever replaced. Typically, the spring replacement schedule on the Glocks aren't crazy. HKs, their springs are supposed to last a lifetime of the gun, which is about 100, 200, 250,000 rounds, somewhere around there. The Glock spring replacement schedule is really chill. It's not a major thing. Recoil spring is what you're going to be replacing the most. You know what? Still worthwhile sending the message, because you know me, I'm at least at present 8 minutes behind on chats. Yeah, never had the balls. Forgot how many times I've said, yeah, we'll tell you what you want to hear, and then flip on it when talking to the guy right next to you. Unfortunately, that's the truth. Well, I'll tell Jono there's at least one person on my stream that told me you like what he does. The Fear Act, I think the US gives vaccine makers immunity. I have a suspicion you are correct, sir. Indeed it is. Well spotted. I was trying to hide it in the darkness, but like, you cannot hide from the eagle eyes of fellow gun owners. They spot everything in a dark room. The day of prayer for Zuma, I missed. Wait, Gaming K9, here you can educate me, school me. What is the day of prayer for JC? And when's it happening and where it's happening? Because that's, yeah. I do not, in fact, cast my own bullets, but I use Bullet Corp and Zero Mic. They are powder-coated bullets. What that means, it's lead bullet, has a polymer coating around it, so a plastic coating, as opposed to the traditional like copper jacket or whatever. Very cost-effective. They are very consistent. I found them to be super accurate. And they don't foul up your barrel with lead. So that's cool. So that's what I use. So someone else does the casting, I just do the buying. And they come into, like, depending upon the amounts you buy them in and the grain and the weights you buy them in, they come into under R1 a bullet, which isn't bad. I tell them to fuck off daily on Twitter. I can't remember who this is, Shaq Dweller. And it looks like you have a Pirneef as your painting, as your profile picture. Is that in fact a Pirneef, or is that a different artist? Hello, Wendy. And yes, I knew exactly what was coming next. Say a fuck ton of times to create a clusterfuck LOL. You see, now, just by reading your comment, I've already said what you wanted me to say. Some people just tune in, like Wendy, to my channel to make me say foul mouth things, because apparently that's what it is. Good evening, COVID-free and love listening to you, Bianca. Bye, donkey. Ek waardeer dit. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Shahid, Awem, my bra, Maase Kinders, and Zuck, the man behind the Flatpack Alpha target stands, new damage eyewear, and what else are you doing these days? You're also about to start a Cerakoting business, I believe. Now, at 5 wrote it down, the single stage press for Steve Anderson's. Yeah, single stage press. That's where I started reloading, on a single stage press. And my goodness, look, you learn a lot in a single stage press, especially patience, which is something I still lack, by the way. I'm only staying on TikTok because my daughter is on it. I have to see what toxic shit possibly will affect her brain. That is a brilliant comment, Beth. I think I'm going to screenshot that. Okay, here we go. They announced the day of prayer for Zuma this afternoon. We'll be in Durban this coming Friday, as far as I know. That's going to be interesting. Okay, I'm going to see what I can find out about the Zuma prayer day, because that is going to be that is going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. I wonder what they're praying for. I mean, he got parole. He's most certainly not, well, he's 79 years old. He is already 4 years over the average age of the Western male in an advanced economy. So he's already kind of on borrowed time as it is, as is most people over the age of 75 if you're male, which is a scary thought, really. But anyway, it's one of those things. How much longer is the guy going to live anyway? I mean, you could pull a Mugabe and live forever, which is probably, nearly forever. But I'm more interested to know what they're praying for. Shakdwell, it is a Pirnev. He was best friends with my great-grandfather. That's a fascinating story. Who was the grandson of Paul Creer. So I presume, okay, I'm very presumptuous because firstly, I don't know what your gender is. Secondly, I don't know what your marital status is. Thirdly, I actually don't know what my third assumption was. It was supposed to be 3, but I presume you are a career, maybe? Or look, it could have, great-grandfather is far removed. There's no guarantee on that. I'm just jumping to conclusions. Always jump to conclusions. Patience is not a virtue free. I'm not alone. Oh, here we go. This prayer will be about thanking God for the sterling work he has done thus far in protecting former President Jacob Zuma. Did someone seriously write that? That is the most amazingly condescending and arrogant thing I've ever read. It is like an artwork. My goodness. Okay, that's enough coffee for tonight. I think I need to hit the strongest stuff. This prayer will also be about asking God to continue protecting President Zuma and keeping him safe from the from the dark forces that want to finish him. He said, "That is, holy smokes." Okay, never a dull moment in this country. I can tell you that much. Be censored. I don't always like reloading, but when I do, I can hate it. Yeah, I just dislike reloading. The only reason I do it is because I know every round I churn out is about a third of the price of what I had to buy it for in the store. And even my retailer discounts don't help. I still prefer reloading. Have you seen the most sawn-off shotgun? The 12-gauge round sticks at the end of the barrel. Oh, I saw that. It's a great noisemaker, isn't it? I don't know who did that. That gun was bubbered, I think, as they call it in the United States, when someone does his own DIY on it, and the gun gets bubbered. What BS? The prayer needs a counter prayer. Okay, so Elof. Is that D? By the way, do we share a name? My second name, your first name starts with a D. Is it that Elof, or is it not the same Elof? Laat my weet, because it'll be super cool if it's the D Elof. That is quoted from the Sowetan newspaper. I will go find that article. That is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Well, look, okay, this is going to be my most unpopular opinion, and miraculously, we haven't really spoken about training at all tonight. Nor have we really spoken about shooting, which is fine, because my live streams are really about just shooting the breeze with you guys. So everything else is not important. So I actually don't inherently have a problem with Jay-Z. I mean, he did steal this country in its murin. Let's not forget about that. But at the same time, everyone else that came before and after him did the same thing. He just accelerated the pace of stealing, and he did it in broad bloody daylight. He didn't even have the common courtesy to try and hide his corruption. He was so openly corrupt. He looked you in the eye while he was draining your bank account and just causing total havoc. And the thing about that I appreciate is the fact that he ripped the mark of benevolence off the ANC's inner workings. He kind of exposed the movement for what it is, in the sense that you can't deny the evil that was perpetrated, because it was perpetrated openly. And they found the most bizarre excuses for it. The fire pool thing was my favorite thing. How everyone lost it with the fire pool story, and he had the audacity to get one little pathetic fireman with a little water pump thing powered by petrol to come spray water out of the hose onto his lawn to prove that his swimming pool is in fact not a swimming pool. That was the highlight of his presidency for me, because I thought, and nobody could say a word about it. Everyone just had to now accept it because it was demonstrated. And I think what I appreciate about it is Jay-Z proved that our entire system is a scam, utter scam, and that democracy is a scam, political, how should I put it, dignity is a scam. All these things are just a scam. It's just a big lie, a thin veneer that was painted to give things a bit of, I don't know, gravitas or respectability that were never respectable in the first place. But anyway, that's just me. Feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to hurl abuse at me in the comments. That's why we're here. Okay, Times Live also covers it, and I suppose most newspapers are saying, okay, I'll go check. I'll just Google Jay-Z National Day of Prayer. Goeienaand, David. Hoe gaan dit met jou? Cape Province really needs independence after 15-minute stadium built in Eastern Cape. Yeah, I saw that. I'm still trying to compute the complete craziness of that. I mean, on the scale of, as we just discussed, Jay-Z Fire Pool, that's right up there. I mean, they gave it like a large school pavilion, one of those tin jobbies that school kids sit on when they have their like athletics day at large school Anton van Wouw or something, and the kids sit on that next to and the felt is like the grass is dead. There's like, how on earth is that a 15 million rand stadium? I mean, look, to be fair, what does 15 million rand buy you these days? Not much, but definitely more than that by a long shot. That was a shocker. Absolutely shocker. Evan Elof Street, or 10 of them named after the brother of my grandfather, was second mining commissioner for the Tsar, and great grandfather, the guy who launched the siege of Bafokeng and called Baden. Now, that's an interesting family history, Shaq Dweller. I'm planning to come up to Nights for a training session anytime soon again. Jose, definitely. Arno and I have got something planned for, I'm seeing him tomorrow. He's down here in the Cape helping. Well, we're both helping at the same cause. We've got something planned for January, which will probably be in Germiston as well. So Guns at Work's right next to Nights. And we'll probably be there again because it's a really cool range. The people who own it are amazing. They were super helpful. And yeah, what else can I say? So definitely planning on coming back up. I'm going to try and come to Gauteng at least once a quarter, once every 3 months for some training. But it'll be this time around. It won't just be combative and tactical fundamentals. It'll be something a bit different. So yeah, I'll keep everyone posted. I promise. Saida, your high school. You're gonna have to elaborate. Which high school is your high school? I missed that part of the chat. You could have built it for 14 million. Yeah, fair enough. Ari, Mr. G, what do you think that unknown object is in South China Sea? The US submarine accidentally hit? I reckon underground sea train. It's always interesting, like unknown underwater objects. So it's not going to be a giant squid or a whale. Could be, I doubt it. Someone else said, well, Chinese submarine, could be. It wouldn't be, considering how busy the South China Sea is at present with military vessels, I wouldn't put it past two submarines colliding. I would just love to see how much damage it was done, because clearly everyone is still okay. No one died as far as we're aware. So that's one thing. But I have no idea. Anyone else got thoughts on what the US submarine collided with in the US China Sea? Unknown object, whatever that means. AVS, Nantes. The cost of ammo for training at the range is prohibitive. What is your take on electronic training as like Mantis 10 laser camera for Wi-Fi cut down cost? That's how I do most of my training. So when I was still flying for the airlines and I still had money to spend on training aids, I have a CERT laser pistol, the all metal, full heavy one. That's the shape of a Glock 17. And I use it on a current speed reactive target. And I use my shot timer. I set part times for my drills. And that's made a huge difference to me, is the shot timer, the CERT gun, and the laser target. You can do it simpler than that. You can stick a dot on your wall. For 1,000 Rand, buy one of those G-Sight laser cartridges, plug that into your carry gun or your sports shooting gun, and just use a shot timer and do drills with that. Just basic dry fire drills. If that's prohibitive, even a snap cap and just checking what your front sight is doing is useful. The Mantis X is great. I do have one and I do use it. But to be honest, it's my least used training aid. I honestly use the G-Sight laser cartridge in my guns with my shot timer and the Kiron speed reactive target the most. And I use the Cert laser pistol a hell of a lot. You could even, invest in an airsoft replica if you wanted to of your guns. But I would say start with dry firing and move from there. Very few people have the money to wank out 500 rounds a week at a shooting range. And even if you do, if you want to be defensively proficient, you do not have to be a world championship winning sports shooter to be defensively proficient. I would go so far even as to argue that if you're spending that much time in getting better at shooting, you're wasting time that you could have spent learning another skill, i.e. a stop the bleed skill, becoming proficient with that, or rather take a boxing or jiu-jitsu or some other martial art and learn how to punch someone in the face, or how to create distance, or how to grapple. Rather spend time on the combatives when your shooting reaches a certain level, where you are proficient with the shooting part of it. You need to become then proficient also at some point with the fighting part of things. And yeah, you don't need to win IPSC World Championships to be a good defensive shooter. In fact, like I said, once you reach a certain level, start learning other skills. And you'll know when you get to that level, because when you can shoot the Dave Spalding 2x2 drill, which is 2 shots in under 2 seconds on a 3x5 inch card at 20 feet, 6.5 to 7 meters, then you know from concealment that you are shit hot when it comes to, pistol distance engagement ranges. There are many other drills as well, but that's one of my favorite benchmarks. Spend times on other skills as well. Don't over idolize shooting alone, basically. And that is a line I stole from Arno. As a Durbanite, I'm thinking of voting Cape Independence and wipe my ass with the local ballot. By the way, I've got a course coming up in Durban, middle of November. It's on the Parata shop on the website. You can go check it out. It's a 2-day course if you're interested. Let me know. Awesome. We'll keep up to date with the plans and for training. Would love to see you on a course, Jose. I would love to see many people on a course. Some book out quickly, others take a bit longer. Sorry, I was going to say that my high school sports field looked world-class compared to that stadium. Fair point and utterly correct. Go have a look on Twitter. Search for 30 million Saldanha Stadium project by the RDA led by Saldanha Bay. They'll show what the DA delivered for 13 million. Okay, I'm definitely going to go as a comparison. The USO is the alien thing now. There is that taxi rank as well. Oh god, it's probably Cyril's laptop that they hit. Well, what was that? His laptop was iPad. Eh? French. That's what happened when all the subs are invisible. Collide with an undersea alien vessel. USA moves from alien vessels going into the ocean. Now that is something from XCOM, Enemy from the Deep or something like that. I like that conspiracy theory. It's my favorite one. Shakto, I have to say goodnight to everyone. Have a good night and be safe, Piratas. You follow me on Twitter, we'll DM you there. Cheers, all be safe. Well, good evening, sir. You have a wonderful rest of your or ma'am. We have established your gender, so I'm not going to assume. And stay safe out there as well. We've got another 7 minutes together, and then I also have to head off. The sub might have hit a shark. If I remember correctly, that one of our Admiral said on TV that our Sims protect our sailors against sharks. I actually forgot about that. They did say that. That was pretty embarrassing. Cyril's iPad is just the image of the alien thing. That's one expensive shark suit. Yeah, that's something I would have thought the same. Besides, I think there is a limit. Dead serious now. I think there is a limit to how deep sharks go. If someone knows how deep a shark can go, let me know. I'm not a marine biologist, and my knowledge of sharks is pathetic. XCOM, Enemy from the Deep, was a brilliant but difficult game. All to me are difficult. I struggled with, especially the more old school ones. I struggle. Maybe that's exactly what happened in the South China Sea. Bet is on a Chinese underwater drone. There was some incident in 2016 when a US drone bumped into a Chinese warship and was seized. Holy smokes. I actually didn't even, I forgot, I either did not know or I forgot that those things even existed. Francois, good evening. Goeienaand. Welcome for tuning in. We have another 5 minutes of shooting the shears. So if any of you've got any more exciting questions for me, or I don't know, just witty comments on whatever else has been going on lately. This week has been an absolute roller coaster ride, I think, for most people. I mean, what's happened? We have Vax passports that launched early. Yay for us. We have 15 million rand stadium in the Eastern Cape that looks like it was just a large school pavilion that was just towed and dumped in the middle of an open veld where they didn't even mow the lawn. We have an announcement today of a National Day of Prayer for Jay-Z next week. And yeah, Sasita is trying to take over from PFTC and destroy private gun ownership. So yay for that, right? I replaced my Glock 19 every 5,000 rounds to be safe. There's the whole pistols or just the springs. My advice on non-lethal pepper guns. So they have their place in the defensive toolbox, but they're not a like I say about these things, they're not a substitute for an actual real firearm. If you don't need to project lethal force to sort out the situation, they might be very useful for that. So I still prefer pepper spray, like the Saber Red stuff, or even, I mean, this is my lower budget ones, but this is a German brand, KO Pepper Jet, which is actually, I think, manufactured by kind of the same company that does Ballistol, the oil. And we sell these things to a security company in Somerset West that use them on some very aggressive street sort of people. And they say it works. So, or rather they swear by the stuff. So from their experience, that's actually not a bad substitute. So that's one thing. Niemand Fransje is nooit laat nie. Dankie dat jy hier is. Ek waardeer dit in elk geval. We'll do more of these, by the way. I saw that legend Leonard Max on a Freedom from Plus election post today. Yeah, he is running for Cape Town Mayor, believe it or not. And I'm hopefully going to have him on the stream within the next week or two to talk about policing. But if you want me to ambush him with some election questions, let me know. I'll put my email back on the screen so that you can email me ambush questions for the general. And to be honest, I just like the guy as a person. He is he's such an interesting bloody character. Controversial as all hell, but you know what? We can't all be the same, right? We can't all be peanut butter and jam. Do you know if you can get a match trigger replacement for HK pistols in South Africa? Very hard to do. I have not succeeded in this, but I tell you what, Tian, because I own a USP, they also carry. I'll find out for us. I have your email, you have mine, and well, everyone's got my email. Look, there's my email on the screen. I'll see if I can find some HK match triggers for us. How do you feel about Trump as president in 2024? You know, we live in times right now where that wouldn't be the most crazy or bizarre thing to happen at all. In fact, it would almost be mundane. It's like, oh, okay, we've got Donald back. The Biden presidency really does set the tone for chaos and batshit crazy. And I mean, let's go, Brandon. Woo, exactly. Don, you called it. So if Orange Man comes back, that's fine by me. You know, I still haven't keep America Great cap lying around somewhere. I mean, not that I am pro-Trump or anti-Trump. I'm an anarchist. I hate the state. It shouldn't exist. I hate politicians and governments almost as a general rule. But most people aren't anarchists. So I just have to live in the society where everyone loves politicians of different colors. And by colors, I don't mean race. By colors, I mean you have a red politician or a blue politician or a green one or an orange one. And it just the entire thing gets me down so much. So if I ever develop a drinking problem, it'll be due to politics. Everyone else's. Is Leonard pro-gun? From every discussion I've had with him, yes. Bear in mind, he's still a political opportunist of sorts, but the man has been solid on pretty much everything. And from what I gathered, like, he's got some really sensible ideas about how a society with guns would work, and he certainly sees, or has repeatedly stated, that guns in civilian hands are a national security asset. So that's a nice thing to hear, at least from somebody. Well, there you go. Trump any day of the week compared to that oxygen fleet. And we've just hit an hour. I need to go Betty buys because I've got an early start tomorrow to this training course. Thank you everywhere for tuning in. It was really awesome sitting down with you. I hope you enjoyed the interaction and that it was fun for you. And let's do this again soon. Let's do this again next week, actually. Yeah, it's always cool to just do an audience stream with no stress, no discussion. So stay safe. Have a great weekend. If you want me to answer any questions, or if you've got any suggestions, there's my email right down there. And we'll be in touch, guys and girls, ladies, gentlemen, others. Have a lekker aand. Sien julle binnekort. Lekker slaap. And